It's pretty amazing how TikTok's just like everywhere now, right?
It really is.
It's hard to escape it. I mean,
Yeah.
You see the dances, the challenges, all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's always something new popping up in the news about its future. Will it be banned? Won't it?
Right, right.
And I think it's pretty safe to say for everyone listening right now, you've at least heard of it, if not seen a video or two, or maybe even more than a few.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So for our deep dive today, we wanted to go kind of past just the headlines you see about TikTok.
Yeah.
And really try to unpack what makes this platform, tick.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's become such a global phenomenon, especially here in the U.S.
Absolutely.
And, give you listening a more complete picture of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got this pasted text to work from,
Mm-hmm.
which has been pretty interesting to read through.
A lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So over the course of this deep dive, we're going to be looking at what TikTok is at its core,
Okay.
why exactly it's facing all this scrutiny, especially here in the U.S., and why there's even talk of a ban.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also look at how that, kind of infamous algorithm works.
The secret sauce.
Yeah, exactly. The secret sauce, what makes those videos so addictive.
Right.
And of course, we have to talk about the impact. What effect is TikTok having on us?
On everything, it feels like.
Yeah, on pretty much everything, right? Culture, business, even politics.
For sure.
And finally, we're going to examine how AI plays into all of this, because it seems like TikTok is particularly well suited to this age of, artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is like AI's playground almost.
Right. So to start with, let's just, break it down to the very basics. What exactly is TikTok?
So, at its simplest, it's a social media platform where everything revolves around short videos.
Okay.
Now, it started off with this, pretty strict 15-second limit.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, but that's been relaxed quite a bit. Now you can have videos up to 10 minutes long.
Wow.
So it's still short form compared to, like, YouTube or something, but it's definitely more flexible than it used to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And as for what kind of stuff you'll find on there, well, it's really pretty much anything you can imagine. Music, dance, comedy, educational stuff, viral challenges, you name it.
Yeah, it's like a digital fire hose of content.
It really is. It's kind of hard to even describe the range sometimes.
Right. And a big part of this whole story, especially when we talk about the concerns here in the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
is who actually owns TikTok.
Yeah, that's key.
So that would be ByteDance, right?
Okay.
And just to remind everyone, they're a global tech company, but their headquarters is in Beijing, China.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of the issues stem from.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into that more in a bit. But before we get there, I think it's important to understand another big piece of the TikTok puzzle, which is this thing called the For You page, or FYP, as you see it everywhere.
Ah, yes, the FYP.
So can you break that down for us? What makes it so special? Because on the surface, it just seems like, a feed of videos.
Right. It seems simple, but it's deceptively clever.
Okay.
So the FYP is basically a never-ending stream of videos that's, curated specifically for you.
Okay.
Now, what makes it really different from, say, your Instagram feed is that it's not just showing you videos from people you follow.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's pulling from all over TikTok based on what the algorithm thinks you'll like.
Wow.
And it does a remarkably good job even if you're brand new to the app.
So, I could just download TikTok right now.
Mhm.
I haven't followed anyone.
Yep.
And it'll still show me stuff that's relevant to me.
Exactly. You'll start seeing things that, line up with your interests, even though you haven't really told it anything about yourself directly.
That's pretty incredible when you think
Right.
of it.
It's very powerful.
And I guess that's part of why people find it so engaging, or some might say addictive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's designed to keep you hooked.
Right. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about the elephant in the room,
Mhm.
which is all this controversy surrounding TikTok, particularly here in the U.S.
Okay.
Why is it facing so much scrutiny?
So as we saw in the pasted text,
Mhm.
the main concerns really boil down to two things: national security and data privacy.
Okay.
And those are very much tied to the fact that TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company.
Right.
The big worry is that the Chinese government could essentially get access to all the data that TikTok collects on its users.
Okay. So we're talking what kind of data?
I mean, it's a lot. We're talking your location data, your browsing history within the app, potentially even biometric data like your face scan, and then there's your private messages.
Wow. So pretty much everything.
Pretty much, and that's what's making people nervous.
Yeah, I can see why.
especially when you consider who might be able to access it.
Right. So let's talk about that. What's the concern with the Chinese government, specifically the CCP, having access to this data?
Well, the potential uses are, frankly, pretty unsettling.
Wow.
You could have intelligence gathering on a massive scale, espionage, the possibility of blackmailing individuals.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole issue of profiling, building these incredibly detailed profiles on people based on their data.
So it's not just about, the Chinese government knowing like what videos I watch on TikTok.
No.
It's about them potentially using that information to do all sorts of things.
Exactly. And when you think about it in the context of, global politics and the tensions that exist, it becomes a really big deal.
Yeah, it's not just a fun app anymore. It's got these bigger implications.
It's definitely more than just entertainment at this point.
Right. It's not even just about data going out of the U.S., right? There's also the concern about what kind of information might be flowing in through TikTok.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what are we talking about there?
So there's this whole other layer of worry about content manipulation and influence operations.
Okay.
The concern is that the CCP could pressure ByteDance to basically tweak the algorithm to push certain narratives,
Okay.
like, highlighting positive stories about China or downplaying anything critical. Or on the flip side, they could try to censor anything that's negative about China.
So basically controlling what people see on the app.
Exactly, shaping the narrative.
And I guess even scarier is the idea that they could try to sow discord within the U.S. itself.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. Like, how would they do that?
Well, they could amplify, existing social divisions, try to stir up conflict between different groups. And then there's the whole issue of elections. Could they use TikTok to try to influence the outcome of elections?
And how would they do that? I mean, are we talking like fake news or what?
It could be that, but it could be more subtle too, like promoting videos with certain political messages while downranking ones with opposing views.
So it's not necessarily about putting out false information. It's more about like controlling what gets seen and what doesn't.
Right. It's about shaping the information landscape.
And over time, that could really have an impact.
Absolutely. It's a long game.
Yeah. So these are some pretty serious accusations.
Yeah, definitely.
And we should also mention, it's not just about these specific concerns about the Chinese government.
Right.
There are also more general worries about ByteDance's data security practices overall.
Oh, yeah, that's a separate but important point.
Right. Like even if we weren't talking about potential interference from the CCP, there are still questions about how securely ByteDance handles all this user data.
Exactly. And critics also point to the fact that we don't really know what happens to all that data.
Right. It's like a black box.
Pretty much the algorithm is this big mystery. We don't know exactly how it works, what data it's using, or what ByteDance is doing with it.
And that lack of transparency obviously makes people even more uneasy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a recipe for suspicion.
Right. So given all these concerns, it's not really surprising that the U.S. government has started taking action.
Right. Nope. It was only a matter of time.
So we've been hearing about a potential TikTok ban for years now, but it seems like things have gotten more serious recently.
Yeah, it's definitely escalated.
So what's actually happening on that front?
Well, both the Trump and Biden administrations have expressed concerns about TikTok. And in April 2024, new legislation was passed that basically forces ByteDance to divest, which means sell off their U.S. operations of TikTok.
Okay.
And they have to sell it to a company that's not based in China.
So it's like get TikTok out of Chinese hands.
Exactly.
And they have a deadline for this, right?
Yeah, they got about 9 months with a possible 3-month extension.
So pretty tight timeline.
Yeah, it definitely puts the pressure on.
And what happens if ByteDance doesn't sell by the deadline?
Well, that's when the ban comes in. If they don't divest, then companies like Apple and Google, who run the app stores, won't be allowed to offer TikTok anymore.
So no new downloads, no updates.
Exactly, which would effectively kill TikTok in the U.S.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, no messing around.
So in the face of all this, how has TikTok responded?
Well, they've been pretty vocal in denying all these allegations.
Okay.
They're saying they operate independently of the Chinese government and that they've taken steps to address the concerns.
Like what?
So their big initiative is this thing called Project Texas.
Okay. On that.
Yeah, so it involves partnering with Oracle, an American company, to store all the U.S. user data on servers here in the U.S.
Okay.
And there's supposed to be a U.S.-based security team overseeing everything.
So it's like trying to create a wall between TikTok in the U.S. and the parent company in China.
That's the idea, but, there are still a lot of skeptics.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Critics argue that it might not be enough to prevent the CCP from influencing things or getting access to data.
Right, because ultimately, ByteDance is still the owner.
Exactly, and there are questions about who really has the final say.
And of course, as you mentioned, TikTok is also fighting back in court.
Oh, yeah. They've filed a lawsuit challenging the whole divestiture ban law.
So it's really a battle on multiple fronts.
That's a high-stakes game, for sure.
Yeah. So, we talked about the concerns, but let's switch gears a bit and talk about what makes TikTok so successful in the first place.
Okay.
Because clearly, people love it.
Oh, yeah.
So let's dive into the heart of it all, which is the algorithm.
The secret sauce.
Yeah, the secret sauce. So what do we actually know about how this thing works?
Well, it's definitely their closely guarded secret, but we can piece together a pretty good picture from, various observations and reports.
Right.
So one of the most important things is user interactions.
Like what I do on the app.
Exactly. Every share, every comment you leave, and especially how long you watch a video.
So if I watch a video all the way to the end, that tells the algorithm something.
Oh, yeah, big time. The completion rate is a really strong signal.
Interesting.
Even if you, quickly scroll past a video, that tells it something, too.
Wow, so every little thing I do is feeding back into this algorithm.
Pretty much. It's constantly learning from your behavior.
Okay, and it's not just about what I do.
Yeah.
It's also about the videos themselves.
Right. The algorithm also looks at the information embedded in the videos.
Okay, so what kind of information are we talking about?
So things like the hashtags that are used, the sounds or music that's in the video, the captions, any visual effects that are applied, and, even the content of the video itself.
Wait, so it's not just looking at the text, it's like actually analyzing the video.
Exactly. They use artificial intelligence, specifically computer vision algorithms, to identify objects and scenes in the videos.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And they also do audio analysis to understand what's being said.
So it's almost like it's watching and listening along with you.
In a way, yeah, it's trying to get as much information as possible.
And then on top of all that, there's also my device and account settings, right?
Those play a role, too.
So things like my language, my location, what kind of phone I'm using.
Yeah, all those things give the algorithm clues about who you are and what you might like.
And it's interesting because for new users, I guess it kind of has to start somewhere.
Right. So initially, it might show you a wider range of popular videos just to get a sense of what you respond to. But then it very quickly refines your feed based on your early interactions.
So it's like constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic system.
And what's really interesting is, some things that you might think would be important actually aren't that much.
Yeah, like how many followers someone has.
Right. That doesn't really matter on TikTok.
Nope, not as much as on other platforms.
So I could have 0 followers and my video could still go viral.
Absolutely, happens all the time.
Wow, that's so different from Instagram or Twitter.
It's a different beast altogether.
And it's also not about whether or not I follow the creator of a video, right?
No, not on the FYP.
So what's the main goal of this algorithm then?
Hyper-personalization.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means showing you the exact content that's most likely to keep you engaged, to keep you scrolling, to keep you on the app for as long as possible.
So it's all about maximizing my time on TikTok.
Pretty much it's designed to hook you and keep you coming back for more.
And it's pretty good at it, I have to say.
Oh, yeah, they've definitely cracked the code.
So, we've talked a lot about the platform itself, but let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What kind of impact is TikTok having on American society beyond just being a fun app?
Well, the impact is huge, and it's multifaceted.
Go.
Culturally, it's become a major trendsetter.
Right, like with music.
Oh, yeah. Songs blow up on TikTok all the time, and then they're suddenly everywhere. On the radio, in commercials, you name it.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly things spread.
It's like a cultural wildfire.
And it's not just music, right? There's fashion, dance trends, even slang.
Yep, all that stuff originates on TikTok and then seeps into the mainstream.
It's really become a driving force in youth culture, especially.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's the dominant platform for that generation.
But it's not just about what's cool or trendy,
Right.
there's also a social impact,
Right.
Both good and bad.
Definitely. It's a double-edged sword.
So on the positive side, what are some of the benefits?
Well, it can be really good for building community, especially around niche interests.
Okay, so like I can find other people who are into the same weird stuff I am.
Exactly. You can connect with people who get you, who share your passions.
That's that cool.
Yeah, it can be very validating.
But then there's the flip side, right? What are some of the negative social impacts?
So one thing is, because the algorithm is so good at showing you what you like, it can lead to people getting stuck in these filter bubbles.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means they're only exposed to one viewpoint, one perspective.
And that can be dangerous because it can lead to people becoming more polarized, less understanding of other viewpoints.
Right, so it's like reinforcing existing biases.
Exactly, and that can be a problem for society as a whole.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, of course, there's the whole issue of misinformation.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. TikTok is notorious for spreading false information.
It spreads like wildfire, unfortunately.
And I guess that's partly because of the algorithm, right?
Yeah, the algorithm is designed to promote engaging content. And unfortunately, sometimes the most engaging content is also the most sensationalized or misleading.
Right. So it's not necessarily intentional on TikTok's part.
No, it's more like a side effect of the way the platform is designed.
But it's still a big problem.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge problem.
And then, beyond the misinformation, there are also concerns about addiction.
Oh, yeah. TikTok can be very addictive.
Right. People spending hours on end scrolling through those videos. It's designed to be that way, and for some people, it can really become a problem.
Yeah, it's something to be mindful of, for sure.
Definitely, moderation is key.
Okay, so we talked about the cultural and social impact, but what about the economic side of things?
So economically, TikTok has become a major force. It's a huge platform for the creator economy.
Right, so people are actually making money off of TikTok.
Oh, yeah, big money.
Wow, how does that work?
Well, there are a few ways, they can get sponsorships from brands, they can sell merchandise, and TikTok also has its own creator fund where they pay creators directly based on their views.
So it's like a whole new way of making a living.
Yeah, it's completely changed the game.
And it's not just individual creators, right? Businesses are also using TikTok.
Oh, yeah, it's a marketing goldmine.
So how are they using it?
Well, they can create their own content, run ads, partner with influencers, and because the algorithm is so good at targeting the right audience, it can be a really effective way to reach customers.
Especially younger customers, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, TikTok is where they all are.
Right. So it's become an essential platform for any business that wants to connect with that demographic.
Absolutely. If you're not on TikTok, you're missing out.
Okay, so we've covered culture, society, the economy, and now there's one more area of impact we need to discuss, which is the informational aspect.
Right. TikTok as a news source.
Yeah, because it's not just for entertainment anymore, right? People are getting their news from TikTok.
Oh, yeah, especially younger generations. It's becoming their primary source of information.
And that's got to be a little concerning, right?
Well, yeah, there are definitely some worries.
Like what?
Well, first of all, the information on TikTok isn't always accurate.
Right. We talked about the misinformation problem.
Exactly. And that's a big issue when people are relying on TikTok for news. And then there's the fact that TikTok doesn't really have any editorial oversight.
Right. There's no one fact-checking or vetting the information.
Nope. It's just whatever people are posting.
So you could have like completely made-up stuff going viral.
Oh, yeah. It happens all the time.
And that's dangerous because people might believe it.
Exactly. Especially if it comes from someone they trust, like an influencer.
So it's a really tricky situation because on the one hand, you have this platform that's very accessible, it's very engaging. But on the other hand, it's also very prone to spreading misinformation.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah, it's something we need to be aware of as a society.
Absolutely. Media literacy is more important than ever.
Okay, so we've talked about TikTok's impact on culture, society, the economy, and information. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to address, which is the role of AI.
Ah, yes, the brains behind the operation.
Exactly, because it seems like AI is at the heart of everything TikTok does.
It really is. It's the engine that drives the whole platform.
So let's break it down. How is AI actually being used on TikTok?
Well, for starters, there's the recommendation engine, the thing that powers the For You page.
Right, that magical algorithm that shows me exactly what I want to see.
Exactly. That's all driven by machine learning, which is a branch of AI.
Okay.
It analyzes your behavior, the videos you watch, the ones you like, the ones you share,
Mhm.
and then it uses that information to predict what other videos you might enjoy.
So it's like a personalized TV channel.
Yeah, but even better because it's constantly learning and adapting to your tastes.
And that's all thanks to AI.
Yep, AI is the key.
But it's not just the recommendation engine, right? AI is used for other things too.
Oh, yeah, tons of stuff.
Like what?
Well, there's content moderation, for example.
Okay, how does AI help with that?
So AI systems are used to scan all the videos that are uploaded to TikTok,
Okay.
and they can automatically flag or remove content that violates the platform's rules.
So things like what? Hate speech, violence, nudity.
Exactly, anything that's inappropriate.
So it's like a digital bouncer.
Yeah, kind of, but obviously it's not perfect.
Right, because it's still a computer program, it can make mistakes.
Exactly, and that's why they still have human moderators who review the flagged content.
Okay, so it's like a team effort between AI and humans.
Right, they work together to keep the platform safe.
And I imagine AI is used in other ways too, behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, all over the place.
Like what?
Well, for instance, AI is used for video analysis.
Okay, what does that mean?
So they have AI systems that can analyze the visuals in a video, the sounds, even the speech.
Wow.
And that helps them to categorize the videos more effectively.
So it's like understanding what's actually happening in the video.
Exactly. And that's important for both the recommendation engine and for moderation.
Right, because the more information the system has about a video, the better it can do its job.
Precisely.
And I guess AI is also behind a lot of those cool creator tools, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like the filters, the effects, the augmented reality stuff.
A lot of that is powered by AI.
And it's pretty impressive. Some of those effects are really realistic.
Yeah, the technology has come a long way.
And even things like, text-to-speech voices or editing suggestion.
AI is playing a role there, too.
It's amazing how much AI is involved in making those videos.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
And then there's the advertising side of things, right?
Oh, yeah, AI plays a big role there, too.
So how does that work?
Well, they use AI to target ads to specific users.
Okay.
So based on your data, your behavior on the app, the AI can figure out what kind of products or services you might be interested in. And then it shows you ads that are relevant to you.
So it's like personalized advertising.
Exactly, which is much more effective than just showing random ads to everyone.
Right, because I'm more likely to click on an ad if it's something I'm actually interested in.
Exactly.
So AI is making TikTok money.
Yeah, it's a key part of their business model.
And finally, I guess AI is also involved in spotting trends, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, how does that work?
Well, they have AI systems that are constantly monitoring the platform, looking for patterns, looking for things that are starting to take off.
It's like a new sound, a new challenge, a new dance.
Exactly. And then they can amplify those trends, push them to a wider audience.
So it's like AI is helping to make things go viral.
In a way, yeah, it's accelerating the process.
So, when you add it all up, it's pretty clear that AI is not just a feature of TikTok. It's like fundamental to its entire operation.
It's woven into the very fabric of the platform.
And that's, I think, a big part of why TikTok has been so successful in this era of advanced AI and large language models.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like TikTok was built for this moment.
Right. Because they've been using AI from the very beginning.
Exactly. It's not like they added it on later as an afterthought. AI has always been at the core of their strategy.
Yeah, and that gives them a huge advantage over platforms that, weren't designed with AI in mind from the start.
Yeah, they're playing catch up.
Right. And then there's the data. TikTok has access to this incredible amount of data.
Oh, yeah, mountains of data.
Because all those users, all those interactions, it's all generating data that can be used to train and improve the AI.
It's a virtuous cycle. More users, more data, better AI, which leads to more users.
And the short-form nature of the content probably helps with that too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because the algorithm gets feedback so quickly.
Exactly. Did the user watch the whole video? Did they skip it? That tells the AI a lot. And because the videos are short, it gets that feedback almost instantly.
So it can learn and adapt much faster than if it was dealing with, like, hour-long YouTube video.
Exactly. It's all about speed and agility.
So looking ahead, we've got these new advancements in AI, like large language models.
Exciting stuff.
How could TikTok potentially use those?
Well, the possibilities are really vast.
Yeah.
For example, LLMs could revolutionize search and discovery on the platform.
Okay, so instead of just searching by keywords, I could, like, type in a full sentence.
Exactly, you could use natural language to describe what you're looking for.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, much more intuitive.
And it could also help with, like, understanding the